Hi, today I want to show you how we can integrate Meta's Llama 3.2 inside of Toddle and add AI functionalities inside of our web application without writing a single line of code. And it's super simple. You don't need to be an expert to do this. It's pretty simple. You can do this in a few minutes. And today I want to navigate you step by step in implementing AI functionalities inside of your application in a more secure way. So let's get right started and let's share my screen here. And also before we start, if you are working on multiple AI projects and you want to make sure that you set up everything correctly because AI costs money and you don't want that users abuse it, you want to join or you want to look into joining NoCode Pro Code. That's where we focus about giving you templates that make sure that payments are working correctly, that you have those infrastructures set up. We have daily office hours to help you in setting up those templates. If you had roadblocks, we have detailed courses that explain you the fundamentals in building your SaaS, your web application inside of Toddle and Xano so that you can make sure that the foundation, the ground is perfectly working and it's all secure. Because especially when we start working with AI, we want to make sure that it's secure, that people can't get our API key, run away with it, and we'll look at our bank statement and it's like, oh, where did those 15,000 from OpenAI come from? We don't want to do that, and we want to make sure it's all protected and secure and that we have authentication in place. This video today will just focus about the idea behind it. It is not super secure. The super secure part, this is where we go into all the details, very geeky, at nocodeprocode.com, in our office hours, in our courses, and in our pre-built templates and components. But that was enough advertisement, at least for now. Let's go into Toddle and let's start building this. So the idea today is we want to have an input field where people can, write a bio for their profile, but we offer AI functionality for them to correct their grammar or to make it sound better. So let's actually start building the form. So inside of Toddle, I'll click on the plus. I'll add a form element in here. Inside of that form, I'll add a text area, and then inside of the form, I'll add another button, and that button will be wrapped in a div block. Here we go. And then in that div block, there will be an input, just like that. And then inside of this form, there will be another button. Now, there are a bunch of HTML elements here, so we got to put them into form. We got to put some magic to them to make them look nice. So the first step is taking the form and giving it some side padding. So let's do 0.5 rem in here, and a top and bottom padding of 0.5 rem as well. So let's start with the UI here. Now, the background, you probably know this, gray 50. Everything I design always looks the same. And the background should be white here. And here we go. And then we add a border. We add gray 200. And let's make it Vercel style, 1.5 pixels today. We're fancy. And let's give it a border radius of 15, just like that. Let's make it actually 10. That looks better, I would say. Here we go. And now let's zoom in a little bit. Let's go into all the details here. So we got that. Now this text area, the background there, should be white, just like that. Beautiful. And then we'll go into the border here and we'll give it a border of gray 200. So we can see we have it outlined here. And then I think it should be 15 pixels. Yeah, that looks nicer. And then we'll make this 10 pixels. Yeah, that looks very nice, very slick. And then in here, we'll go on attributes inside of the text area, and the placeholder will be your bio goes here. Just like that, your bio goes here. Now, we got this div here, and we want this div to be aligned on the side. And don't worry about that. I want this to be like the AI section where you can improve your writing. So first of all, we got to go on that text area and make it width 100%. And then I also want to go in here and, give it a gap. We do this in layout. That's those two elements over each other of 0.5 rem. So there's a nice little gap. And then we'll go in this div holding it. And I'm going to give this a background color of light blue, actually. And then I'm going to give it a side padding of 0.75 rem and a top and bottom padding of 0.75 rem. And actually, let's make it light purple, I think. That would be even nicer because it's AI. It's like, it's got to look techy. And then in here, I want to add, let's do a heading, a small heading in here. And we'll call this improve with AI. And then we want to add like a nice icon in here. So let's go to Relume icons, just like that. And let's go to Spark and let's take like a nice little spark thing. That one looks nice. Let's make this 16 pixels. So I want the 16 pixels one. Copy for Figma. And we'll put it in the H4. I don't like that one. Actually, I want the filled one. That looks better, I assume. Let's take that one. Copy for Figma. Let's go back to Toddle. Let's go in here in the H4. Let's paste it in here. Yeah. And then we're going to go on Flex and we'll make it go on the site. We'll add 0.5 rem gap. Oh, no, that's too much. 0.25. Yeah, that looks very nice. Now we'll go into this holder and we'll make it go down. Yeah, so that looks good. And then actually I need to wrap them in a different div block because they need to go. So I go in that button, wrap an element. Let's add a div in here. And then I move this input also in this div so that then I can go on Flex and make it go on the side here. So they're next to each other. So then we have improve with AI. And I need to go and add 0.5 rem gap in here so that the UI looks nice. So let's go in this div here and let's make that nice. So let's add a border here, and that border should be, let's do purple 200, and let's make it actually 2 pixels. Let's see how that looks. That looks actually pretty nice. So let's make the border radius 10 pixels. So we have in here improve with AI, and yeah, that looks nice. Improve with AI. Actually, I think because we have a side padding of 0.5 rem, the gap should also be 0.5 rem. So it looks a little bit more consistent. Yeah, that looks very nice. And then we got our button in here to improve it. So I'll just want to move the button on there. So this input should have no specific height set, and the width should be 100%, which will now make the formatting the button go overflow. So we go on the 3 dots on size and make it flex 1 so it adapts automatically. And then we will remove, not the button, but we will remove the text in the button, and that button will just have an icon. So let's look for send icons, and we will have a nice send icon here. Let's take this little paper jet and let's put it in the button. Yeah, beautiful. We go into the SVG and we'll make it 20 pixels, and we can do this in the attributes here on the attribute section, 20 pixels by 20 pixels. And we go in here and we make a side padding of 0.25 rem and a top and bottom padding of 0.25 rem as well. So then we got that here. And now I want to go inside of the background and clear the background color. And the input color in here should be, let's do gray 700. So now I go to this div here and I want to give it a side padding of 0.25 rem and a top and bottom padding of 0.25 rem, just like that. I give it a background of that is white, and then I give it a border radius of 8. Let's see how that looks. And I want to give it gray 200 as an example. So now we got that working. That looks pretty nice, but it's a little bit, it looks nice, but it doesn't look nice. So let's actually try the side padding of 0.5 rem. And let's try making it look a little bit more minimal because it looks a little bit crammy. So let's see how we get that working. So, you know, we can go first of all in the placeholder of that input and say, example, fix my grammar. Fix my grammar. And then you can send it, and then you would like improve it. That's the idea of what I would be doing. And actually we don't need the, we can keep the submit button just for decoration here, where people can then enhance their bio, improve with AI. So let's try styling this a little bit better. I think, though purple may be a bad choice for this one, I would actually think for AI, maybe blue is a little bit better. Let's make this blue. Let's make the side padding in here. Let's actually remove any side padding. I think we're getting somewhere here. Yeah, and then we want to go to the text color. The text color needs to be blue 800. Yeah, let's actually make it blue 900. Yes. Side padding it seems to be okay, but let's actually try the side padding of 6.5 rem, 0.6.5 rem. Here you go. And then we got that here. And I want to try and let's see if we can make this a little bit smaller. Let's make this 14 pixels, this heading in here. Let's see if I do 0 pic. Okay, let's do 13, 12. Yeah, that looks good. Let's make the spark 15 pixels. Yeah, that looks nice. Improve with AI, just like that. And then how about we actually make like a drop down or like a radio button thing where people can actually select from multiple options. I think they'll be cooler than, you know, people just putting in a prompt, because who's going to use the prompt anyway? So let's delete that, and let's actually create a variable here of AI, or let's just call this features, just like that. And then we'll add an array of features, right? And that array may have objects. So we can have the key, that's the feature name as an example, right? Or yeah, we can do that. No, actually, let's make the key, let's say name, right? And that feature name in here will be fix grammar, right? And then the prompt that will be sent to the backend will be grammar, or the prompt would be fix my grammar for this text here. That would be, for example, the prompt that would go to the backend. And then we can have another tool that is, the name is shorten bio. And then we can say, make this bio shorter. Make this bio shorter. And then we would have, you know, our prompt in here, just like that. And then we got our tools, and we can add another tool, and you can make this dynamic. It could come from a database as an example too, but we can just hard code it for now. And then we can add a last tool saying, make formal. Make this bio very formal, just like that. And then we got our tools, and they would like be rendered in here. So I can go with improve with AI, and I can add a button as an example in here, right? And then I would go on repeat on that button and render it from features. Yeah, so I got that. Now it's kind of like funkily aligned. So let's wrap this in an element so we can give it structure. And we want to have it go on the site, but then we want to go in wrap, and we want to make sure it's wrapping it. So if we have more, it'll just go on the next line. So we can add a gap of 0.25 rem between those as an example. And let's make them look a little bit nicer. And, let's first actually add some dynamic text in here. So inside of that button, we go inside of the button text, and we go on item, name, and then we have those options, make formal. Now, we want to make sure that we give this element here, this form, a width of 90%, so everything gets responsive, and a maximum width of 25 rem as an example, or 20 rem. And as you can see, it's wrapping those options here, and I just wanted to demonstrate that. Now, we go on this button and style it. So I'm going to give it a background actually that is a little bit lighter. I would actually give it like a little bit lighter blue, or maybe even a white. Let's try a white in here. Yeah, that looks actually pretty nice. And let's give it somewhat of a light blue color. Blue 500 looks good. And now let's give it, a little bit of a smaller font. So let's make the font size 14 pixels, or 12.5. That looks actually pretty nice. And we'll give it a side padding of 0.5 rem and a height of 0.25. Let's try that. Or 0.35 rem. Yeah, that looks very nice. So I can select them. And then we can just make like a style if they're selected or not. So right now I got that. Let's actually go in here and let's add a class of selected on this element. And now we go on the style panel. Let's go on plus, and let's go on selected, and let's select the selected. And when it is selected, the background color should be maybe blue 500 as an example, and the text should be blue 50, right? Now they all should not be selected, so we need to go back to the default, and we need to go to our selected class on attributes. Let's go on FX, and let's make this dynamic. So we need to look at, does the item name, and now we don't know where to compare it to, so we need to create a variable in here called selected feature, right? And that will start empty. So now I need to go on my button, right? And on click of any of those buttons, I will set the selected feature variable with the current item's value. So if I click on make formal, we are on a form. So right now, if I click on any button on the form, it will submit the form. So I need to add actually on all of those a type attribute. Not a class, an attribute of type button. So when I click on them, I'm not submitting the form. So let's make shorten bio. And now as you can see, my selected feature is going to say shorten bio, right? And if I click on make formal, the selected feature is make formal. And then if I go on fix grammar, click on here, right? We see we have fixed grammar in here. Now we need to show the style based on, if this current item that this list is based on, this current item that is based on the iteration of the list, right? This current item name equals the variable that contains the selected features name. That way we now have this kind of radio button setup. And I'm not a big fan of hovers, so I'll just remove the hovers. So let's look at hover and let's remove the hovers. So now as you can see, we got this kind of radio button setup. Now we can also make it nicely animated. So I could go on the default and add a transition of all elements just to make it simple. And then I would make, for example, 200 milliseconds. So now we see we have a nice transition in here for those. But I think it looks actually pretty nice. But let's actually go on this selected style in here, because default doesn't have that. Selected has the background. And I actually would make it maybe, let's see, does it look better if it's darker? Oh, actually it does look a little better if it's darker. How dark? That actually, I really like that one though. That looks really nice. But I think the text should be a little bit like blue. No, that's too dark. Blue 100. Yeah, it looks pretty nice actually. It looks pretty nice. Let's keep it actually blue 50. And how about we make this blue 400? It looks good. It looks good. We don't need to get over ourselves. Let's try blue 600. Yeah, I think that may be it. That's like this apple blue. So we got that working. And now we have this button in here that would be our normal submit button. So since this button would then, submit the form to create the bio, which we're not going to do. We're just implementing the AI functionality in this example. We'll just still, for logical completeness, add type submit. So this will be the button actually submitting the form. As you can see, if I click on here, it will reload the page because that's a form submission. Now we go on this button, we make it width 100%, and we can give it a height of 3 rem if we want, right? We can make it centered, and then we can call this update my bio. We go on here, we'll give it a border radius of 10 pixels, just like that, and then we'll make that blue 700 or something. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. Or actually, let's make it dark. Let's make it black. Yeah, I think that looks very nice. And then we can actually add like a little shadow in there. And we can make it a little bit more subtle. So it looks very nice. And then we'll go in here and we'll add a shadow on here as well. Very subtle one though. And we make the blur a little bit more. We make a 13 blur. And now we got our element in here. Look at that. So we got improve with AI, and people can say fix grammar. And then if they select fix grammar, right, we want actually to fix the grammar, and then rewrite what they have written in here. So actually now we got to go in this text area, and we need to go in the text color and make it gray 700 so that we can actually see what we're typing in here. And as you can see, we already got a little hover. I think that looks nice, but I want to change the hover a little bit. Let's make it gray 800, and let's add a transition. So let's go on default, transition. We do all just to make it simpler, and we add a transition of 200. Generally for web apps, you should not make transitions that are longer than 200 milliseconds unless it's like a big transitions, but buttons that fade in over a second, they don't look good. So you get that improve with AI, and you can make those dynamic. That's the cool thing. Now we actually need to implement it where we are sending that data to the backend and processing it with Llama 3.2. So for that, we're using Xano as our as one of basically the only all-in-one no-code backend solution that's scalable, secure, and compliant. So in here, we want to make sure that we call an API. So we're going to create an API call. Now, inside of Toddle, we could call the API to our AI provider directly, but it would expose our API key on the front end because it would be on the client-side source code. So in order to avoid that, we want to create a proxy. That's what we call a proxy on our own server, which Xano provides you a secure server that you own yourself. So we go on APIs, we create a new API. Let's call this, actually, I'm in the wrong workspace. I need to go to my sample workspace. And let's go to APIs. Let's go to add API group. Let's call this AI video. And let's save this. And in here, we'll create a custom endpoint. And we'll call this AI. Let's make it a post endpoint, and let's save this. Now we are, sending some dynamic data. So we need to send the prompt. This will be like fix my grammar, do this. We will call this prompt, And then we'll add another text of the bio, what will be made with the prompt, right? So let's save this. And now let's actually already connect this with Toddle. So let's copy the endpoint URL. Let's go inside of Toddle. And now we'll create an API. And we will call this AI. And we'll make it a post. And we'll paste the URL in here. And then we add the queries. We add prompt, right? And the prompt will come from the selected feature prompt. That's where we get that. And then we'll add the bio. That will be the, oh, we haven't bound the bio. Okay, so here's the thing. If I will type any random thing in this text field, we have no way of accessing that in Toddle. There is no way get text field number 5. So we need to create a variable with the same name as the text field, ideally. And then we go on the text area and we go to attributes and we see this bind to variable. We bind it to bio. So now when we type something random in here, as you can see, we will have this set in our variable, right? And then we can go in here in the bio and bind it to the bio variable. That's how we get, that's like how we get the dynamic data here. So now we got that set up. And now we want to go on this form. We go on events and we want to go on form. On submit, we have prevent default. We'll keep that. And then we make the AI API call. Here you go. Right now, we don't get anything back, so there's no success for us. But here's what we want to do. Actually, it's not on submit. No. It's different. No, on submit, we don't want to call the API. That is wrong. We don't want to do that. Let's actually delete this. On submit, because on this, we're not submitting it anywhere. We'll just make sure it's prevent default. On here, on this button, though, on click of this button for fix grammar, right? On click, we already set that, but after this, we want to make the API call, right? And then send the data that we set one step above it. That's what we want to do. That's correct. So that's how we do it, right? You click and then it fixes your grammar, right? And then you can shorten it too and, make it formal or something like that. So here we go. Now let's actually see if that works. So let's look at our API and, let's see if we receive something. Let's click on shorten bio and that should have made an API call. So now let's see. Let's look at request history inside of Xano. And we saw that we received something. We got the bio and fixed my grammar, fixed this text here. There needs to be a space in what we have set up in the variable that's rendering it. So we do selected features. Let's look at here. Fix my grammar, text, space here. Okay, now it's perfect. But let's see if we got that. Now let's reload. It takes sometimes a little bit in Xano. And as we can see, we got the input of bio and prompt. So now we can copy this. And now we go to run and debug in Xano. We'll paste it in here. We'll click on format. And now we can work with that data. Now, my life is nice. So we have this example. Make this bio shorter. My life is nice. Now, we need to create a variable that will combine this into one prompt that will go into our AI. So let's create a variable inside of Xano, and we'll call this AI underscore prompt as an example. Oh, AI underscore prompt. And we'll say, make this bio, and actually we already have that. So let's go in here. Let's just expand this in the text editor, and then we'll just add tokenized text for prompt. This will say make this bio shorter, space, and then we'll make bio. And this is what we'll be able to dynamically replace the text with. And then we'll add new line, and we'll add hash. It's just so that the AI understand that this is like an important point. Only return the updated text, nothing else. Here we go. That's the prompt. Now we need to add a replace filter to actually make this dynamic. So let's copy the prompt here. Let's add a filter. Let's add replace. Let's search for prompt, and then we'll replace it with the prompt input. And then we add another filter of replace, and we'll add, the dynamic tokenized text for bio so that we can search it. And then we'll replace it with the bio, right? So now when I update the preferences here and run this again, it's not working, but it should work. So let me try to reload Xano. Here we go. And now as you can see, make this bio shorter. My life is nice. And then only return the updated text, nothing else. And now this will need to be put into our AI engine. So let's add a function in here to make an external API call. And we go to external API request. And now we go to import curl. Now, in this example, I'm going to use my favorite AI provider that is super cheap called hyperbolic.xyz. And we're going to use Lambda 3.2. Let's look at API. We go to curl. We'll copy the curl command. And we're going to paste the curl command in here. Let's import. And now there is a security concern because our API key is in here. So I want to cat out the API key. And I want to add tokenized text for API minus key. And we'll just let it sit for now. Let's just update and save. Now I want to duplicate my Xano tab. So let's click on duplicate here. And let's go to settings. And we'll go in here. And let's say new underscore hyperbolic underscore API underscore key. So this is now saving it secure on our backend environment variable storage in the environment variables. Now we go in Xano, and inside of here, we'll just simply go to our API again, and we're going to go to our tokenized text here, API key. We'll copy that, and we add a filter of replace. We'll search for API key, and the replacement will be our environment variable on env of hyperbolic.api underscore API underscore key, just like that. And now we'll make sure that the API call has a timeout of 27 seconds, so that we don't get any browser issues. And now we'll save this, and that should work. So now let's see if we get a response. Let's go and add a stop and debug inside of Xano. That's my favorite tool. If you're at office hours, you know that. And we'll want to return API 1. So let's run this. It'll take a little bit till it rewrites it. And it didn't rewrite it because now it's talking about Los Angeles because the API is not receiving the data dynamically yet. So as we can see, we have this message, what can I do in LA? We need to remove this and bind it to our variable with the dynamically generated AI prompt. So let's save this and let's try running it again. And now as you can see, it responded with my life is nice. And that seems cool. So let's only make sure that we only return this and not our API key that's right in here. That would not be secure. You would expose it that way on the front end. So let's copy this and let's add a new step in here of create variable. And let's call this result as an example. And let's go to API 1. Let's paste that in here. Click on define. Let's expand the API call. So we need to copy this here so we can define the subpath. So let's expand on response. Now we're at result. Let's expand on result. And let's expand on choices. We see message. Let's expand on message. And now we see content. That's what we want to return. So we got the result. Let's look at the stop at debug again. Let's try returning result. Let's run again. And now we see we got the result. So now we can delete the stop at debug because now it works. And now we need to return the response with the result. Now we can publish it and now it's ready for production. So now if we run this again, we see I don't see any bio to update. Please provide a bio. I'd love to share a bit about yourself. My life is nice. Okay, it's pretty consistent. You know, you can prompt tune this, but now we want to go back in here. So since we now got it working, on click, I will call my API, and then on success, and let's actually try calling it real quick with something. Let's say I like Toddle. Let's say make formal. And now let's look at the response. I say I harbor a whatever for Toddle. Okay. So now we need to go on this button here, and then we go on click on success. We will be setting or resetting the bio variable, and then we'll look at the API, the data, the response, and that will be set in here. So now we got our tools in here. So we got make formal, I got shorten bio, I like toddlers. Okay, I can do fix grammar. Okay, that didn't fix it. Make formal. I hold a predilective whatever for toddlers, and then I can, you know, I can update that in here. I can say I like to go grocery shopping at Walmart. Here you go. And then I can say make formal. I have a predeclaration for engaging in retail procurement activities at Walmart. I don't even know most of the words it's using. Maybe not. Maybe it's a little bit too formal, but you get the idea. And then we want to actually, after it completed this in here, so after success of the API, we want to go to selected feature and just reset it and making it empty. So now I can click on make formal, and after it made it formal, it is going to remove it. So let's actually say, let's actually take some text from the Toddle website. Toddle.dev, and we're going to say open source. Hey, they won't let me copy things in here. So let's go and inspect elements. Here you go. Got it. Let's put it in here, and well, let's make it formal. And now it made it formal with AI. And then I can take this and I can shorten the bio. And now it shortened it. Real-time output and cross-team collaboration make traditional text editing absolute. And now I can say, for example, absolute, which is a grammar issue. Now I go on fix grammar. And it says change made absolute to absolute. It even tells you apparently which it did. And you can edit it. And then you could submit your form when you're happy. So it's cool. You have like a little improve with AI widget now in here. Now the downside of that is, and let me show you how we can exploit that thing. If you're on the live website, and I don't like that it starts with undefined. There's something wrong. It should start empty. So the bio needs to start with an empty value. That should fix it. Now you see it works great. I can put text in here and I can fix grammar, and it's going to fix that. It's going to respond with things. I can shorten the bio and it's going to update it. You know, I can make it formal. It's going to make it formal. So I got those cool things and it works pretty well. I got AI incorporated in my product. It looks very nice. Now, though, if I go to the network tab here, we can see on make formal, we see it makes an API call. And we see that, you know, we made this API call in here. And we sent a specific payload, and we got a preview, and all of those things. And actually, Toddle is protecting those, so that's great. But you could still call that. So, you know, this is still reachable. Generally speaking, if I were to go to this API call, I can call this, right? There is no limit. Like, I can click those buttons 50, 80, 100 times. And I don't need to be logged in to call those. which could be an issue if that is all your business is doing, right? You want to make sure that those APIs are authenticated in case you're doing this at a bigger scale. For example, if you have a social network and this is just a feature you want to add, that's completely okay. I would still though track how much a user is using it to prevent abuse. But if you're building an AI SaaS for a product like Grammarly, for whatever AI product, you want to make sure that all your AI API endpoints, generally everything though, for security reasons, is authenticated. That is very important. Because if it's not authenticated, people will be able to just, log in and not even log in, but just use your API, and it costs you money, and they may be able to exploit some gaps in your logic there, and that is not nice. So what I would suggest is that everything is authenticated, and at least if it's not authenticated, you track their IP addresses and monitor strange behavior on the back end to and add rate limits and all of that. And to add those things and to make it really secure when you add AI features so that you avoid a hefty surprise, we got those templates, we got all those resources at nocodeprocode.com, and we got daily office hours that when you're unsure of how would I implement it to make sure it is safe, it is protected with a specific template or whatever in a specific method, you can join the office hours daily and you can ask that question and you can solve that within that office hour. And you can make sure and you can feel secure that what you build is actually has a stable foundation, and you don't have to you can finally sleep at night again without being afraid of OpenAI's invoices, right? And then you want to add spend caps too, and we got great courses that help you set those things up. For example, if you go to help.nocodeprocode.com, oh, wrong thing, and I should rename that URL because it always opens the Arc help tab. But this is where the members will go. And what you should be looking for is the frame and the frame. And that's actually where we have this template that is like a pre-built SaaS. And for some reason, my search is not working right now. So let's go to Premium Toddle templates. And we see the frame in here. And it is like, it has over 5 hours of courses on how to set it up. And, today or tomorrow or over the weekend, I will be adding a big security improvement. It's already super secure. It'll be even more secure. And then we got the Toddle boilerplate. So you click on here, you got everything already set up in Toddle, and you click on here and you got everything, the whole database, the whole structure, Stripe payments. I think we got over 10 API endpoints and, examples on how to make those things secure all set up. And, we got a whole course walking you through how it was set up, so you have an understanding how it works. But this template allows you to ship your SaaS 80% faster, and it's part of the membership. And if you're a member, you can use it unlimited times at a commercial license. So you can use it for your clients, you can use it for your startups, you can use it to build a startup and then sell it to someone else. And it's unlimited. And then you get this wonderful community, daily office hours. We got a course on how to make a SaaS in 1 hour. My point of view of doing that. So yeah, and then how to debug errors in Toddle. And we got a bunch of cool courses and tutorials for Toddle in there. We got a bunch. And then we got also a bunch of templates in here for Toddle and components, like for Stripe payments, Connect Ready, for a PDF reader, for real-time WebSockets, for swipe touch gestures on mobile devices, for a GSAP plugin, for single-page web applications, a video player, a fancy file uploader with course, a light and dark mode switch, a slider for Toddle, rainbow background color, AI image generator, Stripe elements, AI voiceover generator, and much, much more. And then we got the daily office hours as well. So if that's something that interests you, go to nocodeprocode.com and, join the membership, and we'll see you in there on the inside very soon. But thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this video or if anything was unclear, please feel free to ask me in the comments. I'm always happy to help. I would love to see you inside of the membership, inside of the community. But, regardless on if you join or not, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that. And I wish you a wonderful rest of your day and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.